G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at how the Int Vegito does at 100% in the hidden potential system after his easy aim. So now essentially I basically, in terms of like these videos, I usually do a 55% video, then I do a 100% video, and then very often I will do a maxed out where they have like full link levels, they have full everything, and yeah, basically that's kind of the premise that I like to do. I think there's usually 3 stages of like a unit's power. You'll get your first dupe in the unit, which is the most impactful, although I don't generally do 69% videos. But there's like quite a lot like of difference between a base standard 55% unit and of course a 100% unit. And so in terms of Vegito, you're going to see quite a noticeable impact in how he does because of that system. So in Vegito, he is an all types lead, 80%, causes supreme damage to the enemy and raises allies attack and defense of 30%. He also has attack and defense 150%, plus an additional attack of 20% per key sphere obtained, with a chance of performing a critical hit of 5% with each attack performed, up to 30% in total. All allies get key +3, and he launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack. So the reason why you'll see a big difference between a 55% unit and a 100% unit for Vegito is because he's only got that base 150 attack and defense. Now his attack will obviously climb with orbs, but there's no real other way to raise his defense. So there's a huge difference between a Vegito that's got, a lot more defensive stat than a Vegito who doesn't have that much defensive stat. So in terms of links as well, Vegito's got Sand Warrior Race, Brainiacs, Prepared for Battle, Power Bestowed by God, Fuse Fighter, and Fierce Battle, all of which are pretty strong links. Really decent link set. Prepared for Battle is a very common key link. Brainiacs is very powerful, common amongst Vegito units. For some reason, I don't know, do Goku and Vegeta become super smart when they fuse? Fused Fighters, obviously a great link for just fused and Protara based teams. Fierce Battle, very common attack link. And then Sand Warrior Race, which is pretty common amongst Sand based characters. So yeah, on terms of category, he's obviously on Fused Fighters, Battle Wits, Final Trump Card, Patara, and Majin Buu Saga. So overall, a pretty good kind of setup for obviously Vegito. Generally speaking, pretty solid setup, pretty good unit in terms of like link set. Obviously strongest on a Patara based team or on a fusion based team. Final Trump Card, Majin Buu Saga. He's going to be strong on each of his teams because there's a Vegeta on each of those teams that he could possibly link up with. So generally speaking, he's going to be pretty solid. In terms of this guy, just in terms of his design and everything, I definitely feel like he's more a second slot unit than anything else. Here we can see he's got 4 links active, which is pretty good. We also have quite a bit of support on the rotation. And he has 148,000 defense, which is not bad, but it's not like huge. It's not like insane, if that makes sense. Which is why, generally speaking, I kind of like him in the 2nd or 3rd slot. He can do some really crazy damage, as you saw there. He can do some really nice attack stats. That build-up of crit is really good. Giving allies key is also helpful, and you do want to receive some benefit from his super attack effect, the ability to raise allies attack by 30% and defense by 30% for 1 turn. So like I think there is definitely like benefit in this unit, but I feel like from a defensive standpoint, if you're looking for a more defensive orientated unit, you're probably going to go with his tech counterpart, as the design there just seems more intuitive with team build. But the Int one still is a great damage dealer. He does huge levels of damage, which is very helpful, and he can definitely like do a lot more if you give him the opportunity to do a lot more. Is he a first slot unit? Not really. But he's a solid second or third slot unit, that can float and do some decent work. If you don't want the benefit of his super attack effects, then you can obviously just kind of run him in the second slot or the third slot. But overall, I think he does look pretty solid, pretty decent. Defense is just possibly a bit lower than where people wanted it to be, but the attack stats are great, and he's going to have really good chance of firing multiple attacks. He's got built-in crit, which does make him more appealing from that perspective offensively. And all you really have to do is give him some additionals, and you basically will have a unit that in essence can fire off 3 super attacks of quite a high level of offense with a decent level of crits, which is good. It is something that obviously does still do something for the team. Whether it does as much for the team as we'd like, possibly not. I think he's definitely slightly overshadowed by the tech unit. I think the tech unit's just more suitable, especially considering that a lot of units on Patara and on the Fusion team, generally speaking, have fantastic offense, but very few of them have good defense. But you can clearly see that he definitely does do a lot more offensively than the tech counterpart. So that's just kind of their juxtaposition. I mean, they were designed to be that way. But you can see 130 to 150k depending on supports, really nothing too wild. You could definitely link level him and get a bit more out of him in terms of overall capabilities, but I think for the most part he's kind of good where he stands as a unit. I think he's not necessarily a unit you might take into the absolute hardest content, especially content that will be coming out with the 7th anniversary, but I think for the most part 100% is a unit that can be used in the majority of other content and looks really, really solid doing so. If you need damage, then this is a unit that's going to help you. So yeah, 100%. I like him, he's decent, more offense orientated though. Obviously, we'll just quickly recap his links. Nothing too crazy here. We have kind of spoken about his links before in previous videos. The majority of what you're going to want to get is obviously prepared for battle, that kind of being your dominant key link. Otherwise, you're going to want fused fighter if you're on a Patara team or a final trump card team or anything like that. Generally speaking, he links well with any Vegito, Super Saiyan Vegito, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, baseline Gogetas, anything like that, or like duo Goku and Vegeta units he links pretty well with, so there's nothing too wrong there. Saiyan Warrior Race, decently common. You probably want to look for something like Fierce Battle, Prepared for Battle, Saiyan Warrior Race, or you're going to look for something like Fused Fighter, Power Bestowed by God, and Brainiacs. Those are generally kind of the triple combos that you're going to want to run. But yeah, overall, just generally speaking, I would say those are kind of the common denominator link sets. They're like cookie cutter link sets that you could look at, and that could get you some decent results. So yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to like his links. Like I said, it's just going to depend what team you're running him on, but he is a unit with only 6 links comparatively to the 7 we usually have on units. So most of the time you're possibly not going to see him net off all those links, but you'll see him net off 3 or 4. Like here with this Blue Vegito, it's 3 or 4 links, and yeah, just overall pretty solid unit. But that's about it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like or leave a comment, and bye.